If you're buying a Jeep and plan to keep it long term, this video could save you thousands. Because out of every engine Jeep has built, only 3 have a real track record of hitting 300,000 miles. And the difference comes down to a few hidden design choices most people never notice. Before we get to the 3 engines that make the list, you need to understand why the rest don't. Every 5.7 Hemi Jeep built from 2009 forward runs Chrysler's multi-displacement system, NDS, which shuts down 4 of the 8 cylinders under light load. The hydraulic lifters that make this work depend on perfect oil pressure and perfect oil cleanliness. They lock and unlock thousands of times per drive, and between 80,000 and 130,000 miles, those tiny needle bearings inside the lifter axle fail. Here's what happens next. The roller skids on the cam lobe. It grinds straight through it. Metal shavings get blasted through the entire oil system. By the time the P0300 misfire code shows up on your dashboard, 95% of the time the camshaft is already destroyed. Once that metal hits the oil galleries, every bearing in the engine starts wearing on contaminated lubrication. That's a $4,000 to $7,800 repair on a Grand Cherokee. And on the 6.4 Hemi and the Trackhawk and 392 Wrangler, that number climbs north of $10,000. That's the first killer. The second, direct injection. Starting in 2016, Jeep upgraded the Pentastar V6 with direct injection on certain applications. Fuel never touches the intake valves anymore. Carbon deposits build up with zero natural cleaning. By 100,000 miles, airflow drops, misfires develop, and you're staring at an $800 walnut blasting bill every 50,000 miles, a maintenance cost that simply didn't exist on older Jeeps. And on the newer 2.0 turbo and the Hurricane Straight 6 and the Grand Cherokee L, the carbon problem hits even faster, because turbocharged engines run hotter and burn oil more aggressively. The third, the wrong oil. The MDS system specifically requires 5W20 with the correct additive package. Run anything else and the lifter locking pins stick. Skip an oil change and varnish builds up inside those tiny passages. Every quick lube shop pouring bulk generic oil into a Hemi is loading a gun. The owner's manual technically allows extended intervals, but real-world data from oil analysis labs shows MDS lifters need fresh oil every 5,000 miles, not 10,000. MDS, direct injection, wrong oil. Those 3 factors are why modern Jeep engines have a documented pattern of catastrophic failure before 100,000 miles. The 3 engines on the forever list avoid all of them by design. Not by modification, not by aftermarket parts. They were built this way from the factory. Here's the list. Engine number 3, the 3.6 Pentastar V6, 2011 through 2015. The engine nobody expected to make this list. The engine Jeep purists laugh at. But quietly, it's the longest-lasting modern Jeep V6 ever built when you get the right configuration. Aluminum block with cast iron cylinder liners, dual overhead camshafts, 60-degree V6 layout, 285 to 305 horsepower, 260 to 268 pound-feet of torque. The early Pentastar was port fuel injected, not direct injected. That's the critical detail. Fuel washes over the intake valves with every combustion cycle, cleaning carbon automatically, forever, for free. But here's the part that puts it on the forever list. The 3.6 Pentastar has 0 MDS in any Jeep application. Chrysler designed the engine to accept cylinder deactivation in the future, but they never installed it on the V6 in any Wrangler, any Grand Cherokee, any Cherokee. Every cylinder fires every combustion cycle for the entire life of the engine. No locking pins, no lifter cycling, no cam lobes getting destroyed. The bottom end uses a forged steel crankshaft with rolled fillets that increase fatigue strength by 83% over the previous 3.7. The main bearing caps are cross-bolted with 6 bolts each, creating one of the stiffest bottom ends in any modern V6. Now you might be thinking, the Pentastar is an aluminum engine. How reliable can it really be? Here's the answer in one number: 626,000 miles. That's the documented mileage of a Ram ProMaster commercial van running an early 3.6 Pentastar on standard service intervals. And that's not a one-off. There are 3.6 Wranglers and Grand Cherokees pushing 300,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes, spark plugs, and the occasional oil cooler housing replacement when the plastic gets brittle around 100,000 miles. That oil cooler housing's the only real Achilles heel on this engine, and it's a $200 part with a 2-hour install at any independent shop. The 3.6 was paired with the ZF 8-speed automatic in most Jeep applications from 2014 forward, a transmission that's become the gold standard in the industry. Independent shops rebuild them all day. Parts availability is nationwide. A used 3.6 Pentastar long block from a salvage yard runs $1,200 to $2,000. That's cheaper than a single set of Hemi lifters on a Grand Cherokee. The Pentastar's not glamorous. It won't out-tow the V8s, but it also won't blow up at 90,000 miles eating its own camshaft. For the daily driver who wants 300,000 miles in a modern Jeep with air conditioning that actually works, the early 3.6 is the loophole. But if you want real torque, the next engine on the forever list has more grunt than anything Jeep builds today, and its pushrod design has been outlasting modern engines for almost 40 years. If you're serious about getting 300,000 miles out of your Jeep and avoiding the expensive engine mistakes most owners make, I put together a simple guide called the 500,000-mile Jeep Blueprint. It breaks down exactly what to do and what to avoid. I'll leave it linked below in the description. Engine number 2, the 5.9-liter Magnum V8, 1998 Grand Cherokee Limited. If the Pentastar is the quiet survivor, the 5.9 Magnum's the sledgehammer that refuses to break. One model year, one trim level, one truck. The 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited, borrowed straight from the Dodge Ram performance lineup. 245 horsepower, 345 pound-feet of torque, and a cast-iron block that laughs at thermal stress. Chrysler only built about 14,500 of these. The rest of the Grand Cherokee lineup got the weaker 5.2. The 5.9 Limited got the muscle. 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds, which made it the fastest production SUV in America at the time. Faster than a Range Rover. Faster than a Mercedes ML. The Magnum is based on Chrysler's LA engine platform, the same fundamental architecture that powered Mopar muscle cars in the 1960s and 70s. Pushrod design, 2 valves per cylinder, multi-port fuel injection, hyper-eutectic pistons. That iron block is the heaviest in any Jeep V8 ever offered. It's also the strongest. Cast iron absorbs heat evenly. It resists warping under sustained thermal cycling, the kind of cycling that happens when you tow a boat up a mountain grade in August with the AC blasting. The cylinder heads are also iron, which means zero risk of the warping issues that plague aluminum-headed engines after years of overheating. Zero cylinder deactivation on the 5.9 Magnum. MDS didn't exist yet in 1998. All 8 cylinders fire all the time. Multi-port fuel injection cleans the intake valves automatically with every combustion cycle. The failure modes that destroy modern Jeep V8s simply don't apply to this engine. But here's where the 5.9 really earns its forever spot. Under load. This engine was designed for the Dodge Ram 1500. It's pulling around a Grand Cherokee that weighs 4,200 pounds. The engine's barely working. Even at full throttle, the rotating assembly's loafing at maybe 60% of its design capacity. That translates directly to reduced wear per mile across the entire life of the engine. It's an overbuilt motor in an understressed application. That's the formula for 300,000 miles every single time. The 5.9 was paired with the 46RE 4-speed automatic, a transmission so overbuilt for the 1998 Grand Cherokee that rebuilds run $1,500 and parts are everywhere. The trade-off is fuel economy. The 5.9 drinks. Expect 12 to 14 miles per gallon in mixed driving. For an owner who wants brute mechanical durability and doesn't care about gas, the 5.9 is the most overbuilt V8 Jeep has ever installed. The known weak spots are minor. Cracked exhaust manifolds around 150,000 miles, intake gasket leaks around 200,000. Both are simple repairs that any backyard mechanic can handle in a weekend. Rebuild cost if you ever need it. The LA platform's been in production for decades. Any machine shop in America works on these. A complete rebuild runs $2,000 to $3,500. A used 5.9 long block from a salvage yard runs $800 to $1,500. The 1998 Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited's a unicorn truck. They didn't build many. Clean examples on Bring a Trailer have been pulling $15,000 to $25,000 in 2026, and prices are still climbing. But if you find one with documented service history, you're looking at the most mechanically durable V8 Jeep has ever offered. And now, number 1 on the forever list. The engine of more Jeep owners have taken past 300,000 miles than any other in history. The legend. The unkillable Straight 6. If you're getting value from this, hit subscribe and like. It takes 2 seconds. Helps more Jeep owners find the forever list. Now, number 1. Engine number 1. The 4.0-liter AMC inline-six, 1987 through 2006. The most documented, most proven, most worshipped engine in Jeep history, and the number 1 engine on the forever list for one reason. More 4.0s have crossed 300,000 miles on original internals than any other Jeep engine ever built. Cast iron block, cast iron cylinder head, 7 main bearings, multi-port fuel injection from 1991 forward, 190 horsepower, 225 pound-feet of torque on the high-output version. Numbers that don't impress on paper. They don't need to. The 4.0 displaces 242 cubic inches. AMC engineers developed it in just 26 months by reworking the older 258 inline-six architecture. The result was a pushrod overhead valve engine with the simplest possible design. No timing belt, no overhead cams, no variable valve timing, no cylinder deactivation, no direct injection. Just a chain-driven cam, 12 valves, and a cast iron block that weighs 483 pounds. The cast aluminum valve cover uses 15 bolts to seal it down, the most of any production engine of its era, which is why these motors don't develop the chronic valve cover leaks that plague every modern overhead cam design. The 4.0 was produced for almost 20 years across the Cherokee XJ, Wrangler YJ, TJ, Grand Cherokee ZJ and WJ, and the Comanche pickup. AMC and Chrysler built 5 million of these engines before the Greenlee block line was shut down in 2006. In 1996, the block was redesigned with additional webbing and a stud girdle for the main bearing caps, making the post-1996 versions even stronger than the originals. 0 MDS in any year. The 4.0 was built entirely before cylinder deactivation existed in any Chrysler product. Every cylinder fires every combustion cycle. No locking pins, no hydraulic lifter cycling, no cam lobes getting wiped out. Multi-port fuel injection sprays fuel onto the intake valves with every cycle, keeping them clean automatically forever. What makes the 4.0 number 1 over the Pentastar and the 5.9 isn't just the engineering, it's the data. Popular Mechanics ranked it first among the 10 best engines that were stopped being made in the past 20 years. They described it as reliable as a block of wood. Motor Trend's long-term test of a 1997 Cherokee XJ documented this engine's reputation for getting people where they need to go, no matter what. But the real proof is in the owner reports. One owner has documented his 1995 Cherokee XJ 4.0 crossing 500,000 miles on YouTube. Another forum member reports 413,000 trouble-free miles on a 1998 Cherokee. The harmonic balancer typically gives out around 300,000 miles when the rubber insulation deteriorates. The water pump fails around 200,000 miles. That's it. Those are the only 2 regular failures on this engine. Everything else just keeps running. Even the cracked head 0331 casting from 2000 through 2001 only fails when owners ignore overheating, not from normal use. Here's what kills a 4.0 before 300,000 miles. Neglect, skipped oil changes, running the cooling system until the head warps, letting the valve cover gasket leak so badly the oil drops below safe levels. That's the entire failure list. Maintain the basics, and the 4.0 doesn't quit. The aftermarket support's also bigger than any other Jeep engine. Stroker kits convert the 4.0 to a 4.6 or 4.7 for more torque, and any engine builder in the country has parts on the shelf. A used Jeep with a 4.0 inline-six runs $4,000 to $9,000 on the private market in 2026. The average new Jeep Grand Cherokee transaction price is over $50,000. The new Grand Cherokee runs a 5.7 Hemi with MDS, lifter failure waiting at 100,000 miles, and a recall list a mile long. The $7,000 used Jeep has an engine with a 300,000-mile track record and parts available at every auto store in North America. The 4.0 inline-six is the most proven, most documented, most reliable engine Jeep has ever installed. The Forever engine. #1 on this list. #1 on any Jeep list. One more thing before we wrap up. If you're driving a 5.7 Hemi Grand Cherokee or a Wrangler 392, your engine has MDS. That means it doesn't make the Forever list as built. But here's the workaround. The 5.7 Hemi shares the same fundamental architecture as engines that don't have MDS. Hellcat lifters, also called non-MDS lifters, are available from any Mopar dealer. Pair them with a non-MDS camshaft and MDS solenoid plugs, and you've converted your Hemi into a functional non-MDS engine. 3 steps. Non-MDS camshaft and Hellcat lifters, around $800 to $1,200 in parts. MDS solenoid plugs, around $80. A custom tune to disable the MDS commands in the PCM, around $300. Total investment, roughly $1,500 to $2,000 with installation. You've eliminated the lifter cycling completely. The 300,000-mile clock starts now. And the bonus? You'll pick up around 15 to 20 horsepower from the better cam profile, because non-MDS cams are designed for full 8-cylinder operation with no compromise for deactivation events. 3 engines, 1 loophole. 0-cylinder deactivation. The 3.6 Pentastar, the modern survivor that nobody expected. The 5.9 Magnum, the most overbuilt Jeep V8 ever offered. And the 4.0 AMC inline-six, the most proven 300,000-mile engine in Jeep history, documented past 500,000 on basic maintenance. The Forever loophole connects all 3. 0 MDS, port fuel injection, and engineering that was done before automakers started building failure modes into every motor on purpose. Drive the loophole. That's the only 3 Jeep engines that actually make it past 300,000 miles. If this helped you avoid a costly mistake, hit subscribe and drop a comment with which engine you're running right now. And click the video on screen if you want to keep your Jeep running even longer. See you there.